everybody, it's Camille. I know it's been like, I think 180 something days, but I'm back. This is something I've been saying for a long time, not in relation to Ice Spice, but in relation to TikTok culture. When you're on the internet, and since everyone's attention spans is really fast, you have to find like a gimmick or a click that works for you, and you have to milk that crap out if you're not that attractive. But at some point, people aren't going to be obsessed with looking at your face as much anymore. I don't know. I just feel like you have to have something and have some type of like longevity or legacy to leave outside of your looks that keeps you sustainable in the internet ecosystem. I think it's interesting how she was everywhere for 5 minutes, and I do think it's because she was easily commercialized. And this is actually sympathy for her, because I'm not gonna sit here and say that, I don't know, she's a bad rapper and all this other stuff. I think the issue is, I don't even think that was a brand that she wanted for herself. Now, have you seen like a recent video of her like twerking and she looked like she was dead inside on the inside? There was two conclusions. She was either A, like anyone else that's probably bored and tired of their job they've been doing for a long time, or yeah, I mean, I think like the machine, I'll just call it the machine because I don't have a word for it, Hollywood. They'll take someone that's really great for branding and to make a lot of money, remix it, chew it up, and spit it back out. It's like when you publish a book, you know, and you give it to a publisher and they're like, well, I mean, this doesn't really sell, so I'm gonna remix it for you, and then it's gonna make a lot of money. But instead of it being a book, it's a human being. She's not really her own brand. I mean, she's her own brand, but she's probably not even herself anymore. And if her entire driving point is how she looks and having an iconic image, that's not very sustainable in a sense of there's not really a lot of room to play with your style, considering you don't really have too much else to lean with. I'm sure she does. I'm sure she has a range of different rapping styles and different looks that she would probably herself personally want to do. But I mean, she's got a team, there's an image that people expect out of her, and if I knew anything about TikTok culture, with attention spans, it doesn't really matter what you want to do. You do that one thing that everybody likes, you're gonna have to milk it, or everyone's gonna forget about you. If she were to wake up the next day and do a Doja Cat move, especially at this part of her career, and what I mean is shaving your head bald and having Illuminati symbolism, she's done. She's done. Her recent, not the one where she's talking about having a big butt or whatever. There was another one where I just thought to myself, she was like in the car and like twerking her butt or whatever. I thought to myself, something about this feels very forced. It feels very like, well, I have to continue with a brand, and if I had to continue and keep up with this particular image, then I'm not even myself anymore. But I mean, I don't know what it's like to be famous, but I'm sure if I was a musician and my entire branding was my assets, not in a sense of where it's like an add-on, like Nicki Minaj, for example, not to bring her into this conversation in case it's a sensitive topic. Her physical appearance and her assets are kind of an add-on. She's incredibly talented and she had enough room to actually have alter egos. I feel like if Ice Spice had an alter ego, maybe she's Vanilla Frappe or something, it wouldn't work. One ego is the selling point, and with Nicki Minaj, her talent is the base. It's like the house. But she's able to paint the house in multiple different colors. With Ice Spice, there's not really much of like a foundation, so you can't really explore that. Being sexualized as much as she is, and it's probably one of the worst selling points. I mean, it's already hard enough as a chick, so I get it. I mean, it's dehumanizing, and it's really hard to gain respect after that. I was watching a really interesting video. I'm too lazy to put it on here, but it talks about how there's no gatekeeper in fame these days, and I think that's part of the reason why fame isn't sustainable. Fame was already an illusion as it is anyway. It's more of like someone you know, or a music producer, or another famous person decides this person's famous, or some type of gatekeeper has the ability to be like, hey everybody, here's this new thing coming out. Sure, Ice Spice kind of had that, you know, like she collabed with Drake, but then again, it was the internet, and I feel like now that we have a lot of people with kind of crap attention spans deciding who gets what, it's not going to be sustainable. And not only that, people want to see her fail. That goes to my next thing, is people want to see her fail. They just do. And I don't know why. Personally, I want anyone to be successful and do their thing. The only reason I'm making this video is because it correlates with the idea with Faye Nut isn't being sustainable anymore, and why it's not sustainable. In her case, why it hasn't been sustainable in such a explosive career. Outside of myself, I mean, if you think I'm being harsh and critical, you ain't seen nothing yet. I would just go and look up all the other people making videos on this topic. People are just predicting her future already. I think it's really disappointing because, I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, and I can't even handle when one person doubts my dreams. Like, imagine millions of people. So of course, through time, if she's hearing a lot more negative backlash than she is positive, it's gonna get to her, and it's gonna go to my next thing I'm gonna say is pressure. I feel like with too much pressure on someone that created a really, really big hit, and that's why it's really, really shaky to not have that build up if you want to be famous. If there's not really a good progression and you have like one thing hit, you have to always forever keep up and make something, or keep making things that reach that same peak. It's not because you necessarily have to. People are free to do whatever they want. You should never make art for the sake of popularity. But people expect that anyway. People are gonna expect you to actually get to that point to where you're continuously making the same thing, almost dehumanizing you in a way. You're not allowed to make a flop because we expect something out of you, and if we don't get it, you're kind of worthless. Which is really sad in the whole situation. They love what you do, and if you can't give them what you do, they don't love you anymore. I mean, even personally, it's already hard enough. And if you're trying to get that love through the world, I mean, you're out of luck. It's just gonna be shallow and superficial. I'm gonna wrap up this video. I just wanted to add my 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cents into this. In conclusion, TikTok internet fame isn't very sustainable, and especially because people only will like that one little thing that you did, because they don't have enough time with you, because you're only looking at you for like 10 seconds to actually gauge you outside of your looks or a one gimmick that you did. If you're a musician or you're someone that's trying to become famous, I would probably keep that in mind. All right, I'm gonna go.